Well, hey everybody, it is Romania Black, and we are starting a brand new show, A Place Further Than the Universe. Oh my gosh. So, I just finished up a series on my channel and I had a poll, and there were some pretty hype shows on that poll, but A Place Further Than the Universe clearly won, and I'm pretty excited about that. So if you're new to my channel, my name is Romania Black. I'm an English teacher, I'm a speech coach, and I am more importantly for this channel, an anime and donghua nerd and enthusiast, and I love watching shows and talking about them with you at nauseum. So this should be a fun time. But yeah, I also, if you are new to my channel, am known for going into shows completely blind, 100%, as much or as close as I can be, where I know nothing of what's to come. I don't like spoilers, so I like to see each episode as it comes out. I have moderators that help me check the comments to make sure I'm not being spoiled, but I also love answering your comments as well, as long as they're, not spoilery. So I'm pretty excited. But yeah, so this show beat out a lot of really hype contenders, and I've only heard good things about it, as it has been recommended for about a year now on the channel. I think it's been really close on polls before, and it's been recommended over and over again, but this time it won out, which I was really excited about. I don't know anything about it except it's like 12 episodes. That's all I know. I have no clue about the premise. I love going into shows blind, discovering what the genre is, discovering the characters, and all of that, because I want to capture the experience of you all watching for the first time and then talking about it as well. So that's kind of my goal there. Now, if you're wondering if it sounds like I have something in my mouth, I have a cough drop in because this last week I've had a cold. And so I'm coming off of that cold now. I'm like back to 90% me, which is great. And so my voice is like 90% back, but I honestly did not want to wait anymore to watch this show because it was voted on like weeks ago, and I've been waiting and waiting and waiting to see it. And I was like, no, tonight is the night. We're going to sit down and watch episode 1 and dive in and see what we're dealing with. So, one important note, because everybody asks every new show I start, there is going to be a link down below to the reaction, and then you can come back up and we'll talk about the episode and just do like I do, which is discuss ad nauseum each episode and all the components of it. So I'm really excited. I think it's going to be a fun time, but I have no clue what I'm getting myself into. The only thing I do know is that I'm watching this through Crunchyroll, and when I pulled it up earlier, there was like a girl in the thumbnail. That's all I know. So it's going to be a lot of fun for the next 12 episodes to see what we get. So I'm pretty excited about that. I hope you all are as well. But I want to thank you all for joining me on this journey. Really quick, if you are not familiar with, I have a Patreon. Patreon is really the only way that I'm funded on this channel right now. So if you want to support me on Patreon, you can join the dollar tier. It's $1 per month, less than a cost of a pack of gum in the US. And you can join in the discussions on our Discord. You can vote in the polls to see what shows that I watch after this one. If you do $5 for per month, you get to see every episode a week before everybody else. So you'll get to see episode 2 before everybody else on YouTube gets to see episode 1, which is pretty cool. And then the people that I'm about to mention are the ones that donate into the philanthropy tier, which is $10 a month to just help me support the channel, like the hosting websites, the equipment that I get, things like that. They're just super kind people that donate a little bit extra each month. And so I want to give them a shout out, but I also want to give a shout out to all of Patreon. Thank you all so much. Your support is so kind. So real quick, I want to thank Alex Cornejo, Anime Annie, Be Happy, Bryant Reed, Dana, Damage3245, as well as Danger Zone, Devorin, Alexandra Q, Destiny Marie, Danger Zone, Ichu, Eric, Fisho, Ghostly Turnip, El Freya, Liam Polzel, Lyndon, Matthew Palfiniere, Murphew, Adam Perez, Nicholas Nago, Sunspots, Shimoyama Trails, Translucent Men, Starman AA, Bisa, and Ching Y21W. Thank you all so much for your support. It's so appreciated. All of my love. So yeah, hopefully my voice is back to like 100% next week. You can see it has a little bit of a to it, but I don't think that's going to affect us in the reaction. So we're just going to dive in and see what we get. But thank you all so much for joining me. I'm of course watching the subs. I think it might be the only option on Crunchyroll. It is with English subtitles, but we're not going to waste any more time. We are going to get started and watch A Place Further Than the Universe, episode 1. And we're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1. And I'll see you all on the other side. Oh, this looks like it's going to be a good time. So, okay, first of all, I know people are going to comment it down below. During the reaction, I was like, oh, Antarctica. I said North Pole. I realize now Antarctica is the South Pole. So we're gonna wrap that up real quick and correct myself on that. I'm actually kind of excited about this because so far this show is nothing like what my head had planned. In my head, when I saw A Place Further Than the Universe, I was thinking of like, you go into a show completely blind. I was thinking of something tribal or something sci-fi or fantasy. And this is a lot more grounded in reality than I was expecting, but that's not a bad thing. That's actually a really good thing. So also another correction that people will probably make in the comments section is I said this was a 12 episode series. It's 13 episodes. So we'll clarify that real quick. I'm actually kind of excited because I actually know someone that has been to Antarctica before. I've blurred their picture out, their Facebook photos so that you can't see their face, but I told you all at the beginning, I'm a speech coach. I did competitive public speaking or forensics when I was younger and in college. And I actually met someone. They went to a different university, but I competed against them. And they actually went to this university in the US to become an astronaut, basically, and work for NASA. And so they actually did that. They work for NASA. As far as I know, they still work for NASA. But one of the first projects they went on was actually to Antarctica. They were doing like a project. It was basically with weather balloons, and they were testing out like a satellite system for the weather here in the US. And he was like, yeah, it's just we went to Antarctica and we were stationed there for 4 months and we were testing this weather balloon out and we got to see penguins and go explore there. But yeah. So he's been to Antarctica before. And I was like, so that's kind of cool. So it's sort of neat to kind of know somebody that's been there and done that. But, he works for NASA, so that kind of makes sense. But it's really cool that we're going to go to this place and there's a reason to go. Like she wants to find her mom. So we're going to go back through these characters. Now, I will tell you all first and foremost, names are not my strong suit, so it may take me an episode or two, especially because other than Megu-chan or Megumi, our bespectacled bestie, and Reen, the sister, Tamaki is one of our girls, and then her other friend, that she has just met, which we will see. But a couple things to note is that Antarctica gets freaking cold. I looked it up, and the average temperature there is negative 80 degrees Celsius. Which, I'm used to the Fahrenheit system since I'm from the US. And I was like, oh, well, how cold is negative 80 Celsius? Well, in Fahrenheit, it's negative 176. I think zero's bad. So I can't imagine being that cold. And the crazy thing is, in some of these pictures, like he's dressed up in winter gear, but from the picture you think, oh, it can't be that cold. I'm sure it's frigid. So that part is interesting. Also, I'm used to the US dollar, so I'm like, well, what is the Japanese yen to USD conversion? 1,000,000 yen is not as much dollars as you think it is. So 1,000,000 yen is only around $7,000, which is still, for a high school student, that's a pretty good amount. However, I went ahead and looked up, like, how much does it cost to travel to Antarctica? Well, it kind of depends. But if you're going on a vacation, then the quotes for just a regular trip per person to Antarctica for like 2 weeks runs between $13,000 and $20,000. That's a lot of money. So I don't know what the spin is going to be. Now, this series seems to take place 10 years ago in 2015. So the inflation rates, you adjust for inflation, $13,000 to $20,000 now might have been closer to like $8,000 to $10,000 back then. I don't know. I don't know how much inflation has affected that. So she has $7,000 now, but that's just enough. Even if it was $8,000 per person, that's really just enough for herself, not counting anybody else that's potentially going on the trip. So that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But I thought that was interesting. So yeah, so let's talk about this. And my poor throat is like tickled, so we're just gonna roll with it. But I kind of instantly like Tamaki's character an awful lot. Mari or Kimari is her name, Tamaki Mari or Kimari. I like Kimari's character a lot because she really is instantly relatable, where she talks about, like, storing up all of this energy and then bursting forth into action. And I kind of, her character is very relatable because I kind of, feel like this a lot, where I like to travel, I like to explore, I like to see new places and do new things, but without like a proper motivation, I often don't. I feel like sometimes we need someone else to give us a push to go do those things, because there is a fear of doing it yourself, right? There's a fear of, well, what if I fail? What if it turns out to not be a good time? What if I end up regretting it and it feels like a waste? So I can definitely understand where Tamaki is coming from, or where Kimari is coming from at the start of this episode, because she's just scared to do it. And I agree with that too. I oftentimes get scared whenever I travel somewhere. I'm like, oh, what if something happens? Or what if, it's so easy to get in that mindset of thinking of the worst rather than being hopeful and expecting the best. I had a person that was on the team that I coach that had this really kind of crappy, like, minimum wage job, and they would complain about it a lot. And I would say, well, just quit that job and get another one. Like, there's surely something better than that one job you have. And they went, yeah, but what if it's not better? And I was like, oh no. And it's so easy to get in that mindset where you just kind of settle and become complacent because it's comfortable, because it's safe. And honestly, safety and comfort in today's world is, not a luxury everyone has. So it's very easy to get into that mindset of, I'm comfortable here, I'm complacent, I'm safe. Why would I want to shake that up and risk that? But, in terms of risk and versus reward, sometimes it is worth doing that, because it does pay off, and it does lead you to experience something that's so much grander than anything else you could have imagined. And for for Kimari, it seems like she just kind of needs that push and that motivation and reason to go out and do that. Like, for Kimari, it seems like she needs just a lot of motivation. Like, for her, she just needs somebody to push her in that direction. And at home, she has like the romance manga and everything, but her family seems pretty we don't know about a lot about her family, except that we've seen her mom, but we don't know about her dad. We can assume that maybe her mom might be a single mom, because like her and her sister share like the same room. It's just got a divider through it, which it took me a second, because I didn't realize at first that the sister's room was connected to hers, and Reen was just the sister's, like, no big sisters allowed on her door. So that took me a second to kind of figure out what she was trying to say there, but then it all kind of made sense as the episode went along. But yeah, it kind of seems like her family's just sort of getting by in that complacency, right? Because that's the safest thing to do. I mean, oh gosh, this tickle in my throat, y'all. I feel like the penguins are the biggest factor in this, to like be foreshadowing of what's to come, right? But Tamaki Mari-san, or Kimari, it's already noon. So yeah, our poor girl, she starts out being a character that sort of doesn't have a lot of ambition. She's lived this complacent, safe life, but she's already a second year, and she's not living up the things in her diary of wanting to go on a journey and like just live up youth, right? Live up her youth, right? Keep a diary, like just celebrate her being a kid before, she's an adult. So we'll skip past the OP, because I don't want to get too far in. We're going to probably meet these characters as we go. But yeah, so the episode's called A Million Yen for Youth, which, man, what a stroke of fate, a stroke of luck for Kimari meeting this girl. So I do like Megu-chan. I don't know if she's going to end up being one of the ones that goes on the trip with her, but I do like Megu-chan in terms of her trying to be a supportive friend to Kimari and supporting her, like trying to go off and doing her own thing, right? And she's like, there's lots of things that I want to go do? And it's like, well, why don't you go travel? And she's like, well, I want to go to Tokyo and then ditch school and just, play hooky and do things on a whim. Which Kimari is so sweet. She's like a little lamb and she's so innocent, but it's so easy to understand her character and why, she kind of hesitates to go out and do things on her own. And Megu, I don't know if Megu will go to Antarctica with him, because in this moment here where they're leaving the school, she tells Kimari, she's like, I'm not going to go with you. She's like, that's just the way that you think. I'm just, Megu seems like she kind of is okay with the complacency. She's not bothered by it like Kimari is, but she's like, I'll support you and help you, but I'm not going to go along with you. But in the same vein, Megu's like, I'll be there to go hang out with you if things don't work out. So she is kind of like an anchor for Kimari and support if she needs it. But I felt so bad that she made it all the way to the station. And then I loved the drip drop of the rain from the umbrella and how they called back to it at the end of the episode. I thought that was really clever. But man, if she'd gotten on that train, she would never have met the one girl. So things happen for a reason. It was all in the stars. I love the poster at the high school. It says, no loose pants. Lift them higher, both your pants and your grades. That is so cheesy and ridiculous. I'm kind of here for it. I like this school and how lived in it is. The school's kind of grungy and damp and cold, which kind of fits, Kimari's like mindset where she's just like, she needs that brightness in her life and that ambition to kind of get a spark, and just it's not happening at the moment. So yeah, she talks about her childhood and how she's like, when I'm about to try something I've never done before, I think, what if it doesn't go well? And I have that regret. And then it's like her and her sister having the conversation. And then she's like, I'll be back by curfew, and I made the usual. So it's like that comfort. Like she's so used to everything in her home and how it is, but there's a part of her that wants to kind of break from the norm and go do something different and unusual. So anyway, that's when she runs next to the one girl and the money flies out. Again, total twist of fate. Absolute luck. Now, Kimari and the long-haired girl, whose name we'll get in a moment, simultaneously remind me of characters from Puella Magi Monica Magica, as well as Bloomin' to You, which we'll see if this plays out, if those comparisons are apt or not. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, I could instantly make that comparison. I was like, ooh, okay. All right, girl. I am glad that Kimari did not back down in the bathroom from giving her the money, which the moment she said she could like tell who she was by the smell of her conditioner, I was like, those people. Those people, whether you ship these two characters already or not, that there are some people that you can just smell them coming. And I work as an advisor as well as teaching. And sometimes students you can smell them from a mile away and you're like, that's that person. Cause they just like, there's one gentleman at the school I work at. And every time I advise him every semester, I know it's him because you can just smell it. It's like the cologne is so strong. I was like, oh, it like overpowers you. But yeah. So it felt like Hanako-kun, toilet-bound Hanako-kun, with this girl here in the bathroom who gets mad because she lost the money, which now you know why she's mad, because she wants to use it to go find her mom. So I'm glad that throughout this episode, in small little ways, Kimari works up the courage to do little things. And it's like the one little thing at the beginning is following that girl. And then it leads her to finding the money and then giving it back and then kind of giving it. And honestly, I feel like sometimes as humans, we need someone to spark us into action, to give us a sense of motivation. Because it's one thing to say you want to go somewhere, but then it's like, well, what are you going to do? And once you get there, what are you going to do once you get there, right? Sometimes you need like a little bit of a push and a motivation to do it. And for Kimari, this girl becomes that kind of spark and igniter to letting her dream kind of take flight, her ambition to go out and do something unique. And that's what this girl seems like she wants to do as well. I like Megumi walking around and smelling everyone to help out her friend. Like, that's a true friend. Behind the scenes, she's helping her out any way that she can. But yeah, I also like the symbolism whenever the girl gets the money back from Kimari and like has her hands on her shoulder in the bathroom, you can see their reflection through the mirror, which is a cool trick. But then I like the toilet paper that's stacked up in the pyramid says true on there. So it's kind of like, being a true friend, being a true person, not taking the money for yourself or giving it to the police, but trying to find her to give it back to. I love that. I love that so much. So then we have this restaurant, and outside the restaurant, we have the book by Kobuchizawa Takako, and it is A Place Further Than the Universe, a story that leads to the Antarctica. All right. So I want to go back and hear this conversation, because as the shop closes, she says, my mother wrote this book, and then says she was a member of an Antarctic research expedition, but went missing when I was in middle school, so a couple years ago. And she's like, they never found her, and she didn't leave much behind for me, so I'm going to go and find her. Which, I don't get good vibes, because if it's been a couple years and they didn't find her, I mean, like, unless she's been holed up in a cave eating penguins the last couple years, it does not bode well. But I can understand her wanting to go find her mom, because she's like, I need closure and I need to know. And, the people that doubt her, I'm like, girl, I wouldn't doubt her. Like, that's her mom, my grandma, my friends, my teachers, my upperclassmen, my neighbors. So this paper says the new club formation, the Antarctica Club. The purpose is to go to Antarctica, to train and study to go to Antarctica, to go to Antarctica. The president is Kobuchizawa, so Shirase. Okay. The vice president is Kobuchizawa Shirase. And then there's two others, and there's hers. So now Shirase wasn't the ship that they saw at the end. Wasn't that called the Shirase as well? Curious. Curious indeed. So I don't know. Was she named after a ship? And she's like, I've been working part-time jobs to help save money. And she's like, I'm going to go and rub it in the faces of everyone who said I couldn't. I love that. I love it. Which honestly, I know people like her that are like, oh, you say I can't do this? Fine. I'm going to prove you wrong just to show you how wrong you are about me and that you don't know me. I know people like that. So Shirase has convinced Kimari that this is a very important mission to her. And she's like, you can join me if you want. But most people, as she says, usually give up. Most people just kind of like, they're on board at first, but then they say it's impossible or they can't commit to it. And they do exactly like what Kimari did at the beginning. And they realize that they're kind of scared of the unknown. And so they just back off and shy away back to their sense of complacency. And so she thinks Kimari is going to do that exact same thing, but Kimari has been inspired. So we also meet this one girl who works at the convenience store who seems like she's kind of interested as well. There's like a collaboration campaign. They focus on that flyer there too. But she works at the convenience store and she seems kind of like, kind of bored with her humdrum life there and seems like she might be intrigued about the prospect of going to Antarctica. We'll just have to see. But yeah, she talks about nothing but going to Antarctica. And then Megumi's like, well, she can't. She's like, that's why people call her a weirdo. She spends all her time after school working and saving up money. The thing about it, though, is I'm kind of in the mindset of if people around you are not going to bring you a good headspace, if people are going to doubt you and be negative to your face, you really don't need to be around those people. And that's hard because some people just really want friends. And I get that. But having come from a very small school growing up, I know what it means to like be kind of stuck with the same group of friends most of your life. And if you get lucky, like I got pretty lucky. I had a group of 4 or 5 people that I was around my whole life growing up that were really nice and they were very good friends. But I knew other people that just didn't really have a friend group. And if you grew up in high school without that, you kind of have to do one of two things. You're either miserable and ready to get out, or you're just kind of like, whatever, I'll get out and then it will be a totally different world and you won't matter anyway. So I kind of feel for Shirase, but I think she has kind of a good mindset about it. Like, well, if you don't want to be supportive of me, then stay out of my life. So, and then there's that book with the expedition and everything. And yeah, I love that my friend had the same red coat in that picture. That was kind of fun. And all the boats, the northern lights, all that. So yeah, so Kimari is inspired. And then we had these two wenches trying to steal her money and get in the bike, which I kind of like that discussion of Shirase's character. Shirase's character is not aggressive. She's just very ambitious, but she's not aggressive or mean. And these two girls trying to steal her money, like, I love that it's another opportunity for Kimari to kind of stand up for herself and stand up for her friend and be like, hey, leave her alone and like help her out. Like, that was really cool. I'm glad she did that. But yeah. And then she manages to get the two other girls away. I love it. I love Kimari kind of gathering up courage in this one episode. And for being a 13 episode series, it makes sense that you want Kimari to like slowly build up that courage over the first episode alone. Because if we're going to Antarctica, we got lots of things to do in the next 12 episodes. So I'm glad this episode is kind of like the prologue of them meeting and becoming friends and her being inspired, being like, I wanted to do something after high school, something amazing that I've never done. And I think it's amazing that you work hard at something. And I'm kind of interested in your dream as well. And Shirase is like, well, that's cool. But, you know, if you abandon me, it won't be anything I'm not used to. But do you want to come with me? And if you do, come meet me at this ship. I'm going to try not to choke on my cough drop. So, yeah. And I like that Shirase says it's normal for people to kind of shy away from her. And that being scared is normal. Because I feel like part of Kimari at the beginning was saying like she felt weird because she was scared. But Shirase's like, no, that's pretty standard. It takes a lot of courage to do something out of the norm, right? And it takes courage to take that risk. And Kimari's like, look, I don't take things lightly because I have been afraid my whole life. So if I'm serious about this, I'm serious. And Shirase is like, okay, well, if you are, show up at this ship with me and we'll go together. So it's the Icebreaker Shirase Public Expedition, an Antarctic survey ship coming to Kure Port. So with it being called Shirase, is that just, what does Shirase mean in Japanese? Shirase meaning. It means to notice or notification or inform. Telling something about someone. Okay. So I guess Shirase, if it's Icebreaker, it's letting people know about the icebreaker. So I'm like, is Shirase, but that's her first name, not her surname. So the ship is probably not connected to her, right? So, okay. Interesting. All right. And this is taking place April 29th. So it's right at the start of the school year. It says use public transportation to arrive. And it shows like the directions to get there. It's pretty far away. So Hiroshima is the prefecture there. So it's kind of far from where they are. So it is a commitment. If she's going to go, she's going to go. I love the idea that she's like, no, I want to do this. No time like the present. And the sister's like, she actually got up and went. I love that. She's like, I'm going on a journey. Felt very Bilbo Baggins. She's like, I'm going on a journey, Gandalf. But yeah, I'm going to get on that train. And okay, and then there's the train to go to Hiroshima. Is it 9:50 that leads out from Nozomi? Okay, so I guess is she from Nozomi? I want to look up how the distance between Nozomi and Hiroshima, right? So I want to see Nozomi. My poor maps is probably gonna be like, what are you doing? So Nozomi in Japan, and we're gonna say Hiroshima. Okay, how long is that? Oh, well, that is like a day trip, so maybe not that far. It's 24 hours. That's oh my God, that's like an entire, it's a whole day driving. I don't think it's that far then. Maybe not. Maybe that's just the name. What about Nagoya? How far is Nagoya from there? Maybe it won't be as bad. Okay, that's 6 hours. Okay, that's a little bit That's a little bit closer. Closer 6 hours. That's still a distance. Okay. All right. Take it by train. Oh, if you take it by transit though, it's only 2 hours and 17 minutes. Man, take that bullet train and you get there in no time instead of driving. That's the way to go. Okay, that makes much more sense. I was like, damn, girl, you spent a whole day on a train or in a car? No. So if she took the train from Nagoya to Hiroshima, that's only 2 hours and 17 minutes. That ain't bad. That's perfectly fine. Although it seemed like a pretty costly train ticket to go. It was 13,000 yen into USD. We're going to go back to this. 13,000. Okay, so $91. That's a pretty hefty train ride. That's $100 train ticket. That's a lot. But yeah, she decides to go. She's like, it could turn out to be pointless, but I love the smile on Shirase's face whenever our girl Kimari, whenever she gets on the train, I love the smile on Shirase's face. That's so sweet. I kind of want to ship them, but then I'm also like, no, let them be friends. But then, the whole thing with Mount Fuji and the guy in the way of the picture is hilarious. I love it. Then they get the really, the awesome looking bento box, which is 1,300 yen, which, how much is that? Which, $10 for lunch. Now, granted, $10 for lunch back in 2015, adjust for inflation. But that's not too bad nowadays. And instead, they end up with a rice ball tuna lunch that's a little bit cheaper. That still looks really good, though. I would take that. I love it. It's so cute. And then they're on that train and headed to go see that ship. Oh, with the head on the shoulder, super cute. Yeah. I don't know who she was in the process of texting. We don't get to find that out, who she was texting in that moment. They kind of zoom in on it. But we don't get to see because I can't read Japanese. I can't see who she's texting. Guess we'll find out. But yeah, and then they see the huge ship. All right. 14,000 kilometers from Japan to the place that reaches Antarctica. So December 2015. I want to know, again, I want to get on the maps here. And say, if we left from Hiroshima to Antarctica, out of curiosity, this is probably not going to be a very accurate reading. Antarctica. They're like, sorry, we can't calculate the transit directions from Japan to Antarctica. Well, let's see. Japan to Antarctica. How long of travel is that? Does it say? Apparently Japan has whaled in Antarctica. I want to know distance. It's about 13,233 kilometers. And it is... I wish they would tell me like how long it takes to travel. Travel time. To fly from Japan to Antarctica is 18 hours and 20 minutes. And that's flying in a plane that goes thousands of miles per hour. Okay. So, yeah. Maybe hundreds of miles per hour. Anyway, yeah, that's a lot. How by boat? How by boat trip? How long is it to go there? Can you go to Antarctica by ship? Yeah, sure. They usually fill up months or even years ahead of time. It can take, from Argentina to Antarctica, it can take 2 days. So from cruising to Antarctica from Australia or New Zealand, which is closer to Japan, take around 7 days or even up to 4 weeks. I get horribly seasick, so that sounds nightmarish. That sounds like a nightmare. Taking a boat to Antarctica, I would be so sick. I would need all the Dramamine to get through that. But okay. And she's like, how do you plan to get there? And Shirase is like, well, do you want to know? And of course she's like, they have the little cat faces of like, of course we want to know. and we're going to have to wait until the next episode as our youth springs into action to see what we're going to do. Well, that's cute. I'm all about that. This is so adorable. I did not know what to expect from this first episode. I'm pretty excited. I want to know how in the world these girls are getting to Antarctica, and are they going to be able to find her mom? What's going to happen with Shirase's expedition? But I'm really intrigued and I'm very excited. Madhouse is a studio that's doing this. I like Madhouse's work. I think they're a good animation studio. I'm excited to see what this looks like. The music felt cinematic in this. Like the music right off the bat, like getting the ending song and everything, it felt cinematic. I thought it was really, really well done. The animation is cool. The characters are super cute. I like Shirase. I like Kimari already. This girl that works in the convenience store that seems interested in Antarctica. She seems like she wants to get away from the humdrum convenience store cash register life. So I'm excited to see if she joins the crew. And it seemed like there was a fourth girl, but I don't think she was the girl with glasses. So I'm curious to know when she's going to come into this as well. So we shall see. But I'm excited. I hope that my voice is less phlegmy and my cough is gone by next week so I can be back to 100%. But I am excited. I know it's going to be hard to not spoil me because it's only 13 episodes long, but it's only 13 episodes long. So we will discover it as we go. And I'm excited to see what we will get next. So with that being said, I'm excited. I can't wait to hear your thoughts down below, but I am excited to join this journey with you all as we travel, hopefully, to a place further than the universe. So with that being said, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back very soon with the next episode of A Place Further Than the Universe. Bye!